Welcome to Jablam Hockey, folks. I'm your host, Peter Borjarinov. You can find me on Twitter at Russian98, and I'm with
Connor Roundtree. You can find me on Twitter at SportsWithTree.
Yeah.
Still getting used to that?
You know what? You can also follow us on at Jablam Hockey and, of course, on our website, jablamhockey.com. So, you're liking the Twitter handle?
I'm liking it. Well, it's definitely going to stay. I'm not changing it again.
So, Paul used to bug me about this, and it does bug me sometimes with my Twitter handle, Russian98. I don't know, I just made it up when Twitter first started or whatever. People were jumping on like 10 years ago. I tried again, and Twitter responded, and they're like, yeah, you can't have like Bojarinov. And it's like a suspended account. Nobody uses it. And like I don't know what they did to the guy or whatever, but it's been suspended for like ages.
Bojarinov.
Yeah, it's my last name. Like, I don't know they
bad ancestor maybe from like the 1980s who caused a problem somehow with Twitter. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
I don't know. So, what do we have this episode? We really don't have a clue what we're doing in this episode, do we?
Well, we got a slight clue.
Okay. So, we're going to be doing a Leafs Lookin. Connor will give us some new fantasy up and down. And we'll finish up with some Saturday's picks. But first, trending now. There's some crazy stuff happening. And the first crazy thing I want to talk about is the KHL has a new record for their fastest goal. And on Salavat Yulayev, UFA, I never really figured out what UFA
It sounds like unrestricted free agent.
Yeah.
Hockey terms.
Never looked at it.
North American hockey terms.
But they're not a huge club in the KHL. But the current goaltender is ex-Maple Leaf, Ben, a.k.a. the Professor, Scrivens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, looking like Vesa Toskala in the old Leafs days. Very Toskala-esque goal.
Yeah.
The Ivy Leaguer did not look too smart on that one. That kind of... It was a bit of a hit, bounce, and fly kind of thing. But at the same time, he was still out of position.
It was weird. Again, this is again on our game notes on JablamHockey.com. Check our episodes for this one. It was a really weird one. They won. They obviously... I think it was the Ultimo Bisk team won the face-off. The winger just threw it at the net, and it really did look like it went off the defenseman's stick that was way up in the air, off the stick, hit the ice like a few feet in front of Scrivens, and then changed direction and bounced, and went like over. I think it went even off his shoulder and in. So I still think he was fairly good positioning, but totally bad luck. And it looked nothing like some of those other ones where it just goes through their legs.
Yeah, no, it was a tough bounce, and tough night there for Benny Boy Scrivens.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe he'll get another NHL chance with another expansion another expansion team. But this time, it's looking like Seattle. Now, there has been an official price, a bid point. It's $650 million. It looks like the Oakview Group will be the ones doing the purchasing if it does indeed happen. As they approach the Seattle City Council, the City Council has approved a $600 million renovation on Key Arena. So they've got the rink. Mm-hmm. They got the approval from City Council. The vote was 7-1.
Yeah.
And Jerry Bruckheimer might be on board. That guy makes big shows happen. And this could be a pretty big show moving to town.
It'd be a great event. And I do want to interrupt this part and say congratulations to the TFC champions of the MLS Cup. They won. Thank you for beating the Seattle Sounders. And big ups to the Sounders for playing well and getting to the finals again. But I think this is because of Seattle and the Sounders and their fans. They've done so well and have been so competitive. Their fans have been backing them up for all these years. There's such a good crowd there. And this has helped with getting the Seattle team.
Yeah, don't forget about the 12th man that the Seattle Seahawks got there. That's a big time. They got some of the best, one of the loudest stadiums actually in the NFL.
Yeah.
But it's just a little keynote on the side here. Mm-hmm. Fun fact: 100 years ago this season, guess who won the Stanley Cup?
The first American team to win the Stanley Cup.
Seattle Metropolitans.
So, is there anything else you want to add before we get into name talk?
That's basically it. Yeah. I mean, it's been said, look, the league for the expansion, it's going to be $150 million more than Vegas. Vegas was obviously the $500 million.
Yeah.
With their success, it's kind of boosted the price.
Yeah.
So up to $650 million. Fall 2020 would be a targeted date, but they have to actually get this renovation going on the arena, at Key Arena. As I said, City Council voted 7-1 in favor of the $600 million renovation.
Yeah.
So that's almost as much money as they're asking for the team. So stay tuned, because fall 2020, we may have a balanced Eastern and Western Conference, both with 16 teams.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, well, right now it's 16-15. So I'm assuming Seattle would be in the West unless
they're
that's a tight travel schedule otherwise.
All right. So we were talking beforehand, and $650 is a lot of money. And you were saying that a lot of managers might be pissed off because that's another expansion draft that could be happening.
In less than half a decade, you go from a management perspective, I'd be a little upset. I'm losing assets. That's what draft picks are. That's what draft picks turn into. They turn into young prospects, which is eventually an asset for your team. And you've already lost a round of them. You know, you could only protect a goalie, a couple defensemen, and a handful of forwards. Mm-hmm. Now, they're going to have new rules on this one. Maybe, though, for the rest of the league, with how the success we've seen in Vegas, maybe it's not as favorable for the expansion draft. But I think it has to be, because it's not that Vegas is an outstanding team on paper. They're just playing like a group of guys that have come together, and they look like they're having a lot of fun and winning games.
Yeah. I think again, like I said before, I think Gallant's done a great job with what he has to work with, and the players have all stepped up, so good for them. You can't change the rules now for the expansion 3 years after the previous one and just totally, not give them as an equal advantage as the Golden Knights have gotten. So you can't do that. But like you're saying, some managers might not be happy, but again, owners should be fairly happy because they're going to get a percentage of that $650 bid of getting the team. So
I mean, and that's just the opening bid. Obviously, that probably will be the bid, because it looks like the Oakview Group, as I said, Jerry Bruckheimer's involved in that. So it looks like that's pretty much locked down, but nothing's final until sale date. But Peter, what kind of names would you like to see in Seattle? For me, it's going to be big on the color schemes. I like the Sounders with the neon and the blue, the neon and navy, and then the Seahawks with the neon and the navy. So I'd like to see something stick with the neon and the navy. But what do you got?
Like we were talking about, they're the previous first American team to win the Stanley Cup. So you have to go with the name.
Metropolitans.
Metropolitans is a great name to go with. Nobody else has it.
But I feel in a league that has a metropolitan division, it almost sounds, I don't want to say corny, but it sounds corny, having a team called the Metropolitans. Mm-hmm. Like, I respect throwing back to the roots, but maybe what about something a little more up and the Lumberjacks, something with a little more grit to it. I like that. Nice green and plaid, green.
Neon green.
You didn't like my idea of just calling them the Rain.
Okay, but as we said, rain falls, melts the ice. No one wants rain on a parade.
I'll say that they can't really name them Rain. I was thinking about just straight up Rain, RAIN, but there's also already a Rain, REIGN, and I think that's the female soccer team in Seattle. So that's hard because there's a name already similar. So if anybody else has any ideas out there, throw them at us.
Yeah, tweet at Jablam Hockey, Seattle, hashtag Jablam Hockey in there, and let's come up with some fun names. Maybe we'll do next week a little our own name tournament for what the new expansion should be.
Yeah, but if Metropolitans, maybe just call them the Seattle Metros.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet. And before we're done with trending now, David Leggio. He's currently playing.
This is hilarious.
He's currently playing in Germany again. Check it out on our game notes. the video here. There's like a 2-on-0 coming at him. To me, it looked more like a 1-on-0. But he sees it and he's like, I don't want to deal with this. And he just goes ahead and knocks the net off again. He's already done this before. That's ridiculous.
Now, there's got to be some sort of rule. I'm a goalie. I get it. Breakaways, you don't like them. You don't want to have to deal with them. But be a man. Stand in the pipes and take the shot. If he scores, he scores. It's part of hockey. Don't turn around, look at your crossbar and be like, having a tough day. Throw the net off. What nonsense.
Yeah.
That is nonsense.
So I believe in the AHL, if it's totally intentional, you do get a game misconduct.
Good.
That's a good one. But they don't have that in Germany right now. So I think it was a penalty shot, and which is, of course, if it's like a 2-on-0.
You should have counted the goal.
Yeah.
The guy, if the player does end up shooting the puck in the net, which you should do, but I don't know.
Yeah. So they got to change that rule in Germany. First off and foremost, it should be a goal. But the penalty thing, the game misconduct thing, I think is a little too harsh. I think maybe 10-minute misconduct would be good.
I don't know. At that point, you're in a game.
Yeah.
It's hockey. It's the sport. It's not like it's a fight that is a momentum shift. This is a straight up sabotage of the sport. This is you going F you to the hockey gods, turning around and just tossing your net. Like it's not. No, you got to be gone from that game.
So you say you're good.
If it was a 10-minute misconduct and I'm sitting in the pipes and I know the best player on the other team, I'm having a good game. 10-minute misconduct, so I'll cool off for 10 minutes, and this could be the 2-on-0 that the two best players on the team. I'll knock the net off 10 times out of 10.
Well, no, I still think the goal should count. So, and you said the same thing. The goal should count.
The goal should count.
If it's an obvious one, the goal should count. But I'm fine with a 10-minute misconduct.
Is the game misconduct and the goal counts? Is that the rule in the AHL?
I think it is. I think it might be.
That's what it. I think that's what it should be. I think you should. Yeah, you got to crack the whip on goalies like that. You guys all know I'm a goalie.
I think 10 minutes fine, but if he does it again, he should get actually suspended like the next game if he does it again.
It's a delay. You should get a delay of game penalty, a sportsmanship, some sort of just debauchery. Just I don't know. I hate that guy. I hate goalies.
Our time for a little Leafs Lookin, Connor.
A little TML talk.
Since I've been trying to do a little bit of Leafs Lookin, would you say you're a bigger fan of the Blackhawks versus the Leafs, or
if it came down to a cup final, I'd cheer for the Leafs.
Yeah?
Yeah. Without any second guess.
Are you a bigger Hawks fan, especially more that they've been good the last 7-8 years?
I think it definitely helps. Mm-hmm. Like we've always had the Chicago ties.
Yeah.
But it helps having a team that's good that you like naturally. Mm-hmm. So it really I'm not gonna lie, it helped.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely helped.
Yeah.
If they were bad that entire time, who knows?
So maybe in the future, in a couple episodes, maybe we'll do a little Hawks Lookin for you. Right. So let's get into a little Leafs Lookin right now. Trending on Twitter, Free Willy, you could say. Nylander hasn't been in the good books, I guess, again by Babcock. For a while, it was maybe Marner. Now it's switched back to Nylander, just like last year. And again, check our game notes. At the Flinter, great Twitter account. Check him out. He's hilarious. And he tweeted a YouTube video from Alex Stacey, who had a great little cartoon
4-minute snippet, I guess you could say, that sums up the Leafs season pretty well.
I think they're older. I think they're last year's, but it's hilarious, and I think she might have some newer ones for this year. So we took out a little bit and we put it on our website, but you can check her out on YouTube, and of course the Flinter on Twitter. He's great. So please check out these videos. They're hilarious. And I don't know what you want to say about the videos.
Kessel eats a cookie. That's all. That's all you need to know, and go watch it.
You ruined the ending of it.
No, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Just
Right.
you gotta know Kessel eats a cookie. That's all you need to know. That's it.
Babcock's hilarious in the video, and he shows you in the video how he treats maybe more Matthews versus how he treats
Anyone else?
especially Nylander sometimes. So he doesn't treat him so well. And it showed recently Nylander run is, I guess, not in the good books of Babcock, and he was playing on the fourth line for a little bit. And again, just like Marner had one or two good games with Martin and those guys, Nylander had a pretty good game. I think it was versus the Penguins, maybe, and maybe a game before that. They look good and they clicked a bit. It doesn't click sometimes. But Nylander, again, points-wise, though, I think last time we checked on NHL.com, he was third on the team in points, second in assists, plus 11. I think that was just behind Matthews for the whole team.
Yep. Matthews a plus 13. Nylander's a plus 11. And there is... No, that's it. Yeah, those are the top two. And they've been playing together for most of the season.
Yeah.
So, but as you said, that was NHL.com. Well, updated on the Maple Leafs website because NHL.com is always behind. So make sure you use Jablam Hockey for your hockey news. And then check, if you want stats, check the Maple Leafs website, not NHL.com. Because our boy Willie Nylander is actually bumped down due to JVR's goal.
Yes.
But, I mean, that's not the worst news. Yeah. So he's now in sole possession of fourth in Maple Leafs scoring.
But talking about NHL.com, a lot of people weren't too happy too with it being down. I think was it like
since they've made the switch, it's been terrible.
And then also people didn't have access to the games. I think it was on like last Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh, the online, yeah.
Online, it wasn't working for anybody. And then they updated everybody like 4 hours later. Oh, it's working if you go through this website and you click through on this.
If I'm paying $100 and whatever, I don't have it. But if I'm paying money for a service and you're not giving, I want a free game. I want something. I want something back. Maybe not tickets, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I mean,
you could start there.
Gary Bettman giving away free tickets. Ooh. Come on.
Yeah, it'll be there.
Come on.
Your tickets are waiting for you in Florida.
Oh my goodness! No
just go there. We'll give you hot dog, parking, and tickets.
Gary
Bettman would charge $40 for $20 seats. Yeah. I'm convinced. I hate Gary Bettman.
All right, let's get back into
the Maple Leaf talk.
Yes. So again, it wasn't so great that Matthews was out, but because of that, Nylander got promoted back onto the first few lines, and he didn't look out of place. I thought when he played the one game center, I think versus the Oilers.
Yeah, he looked real good. He was looking quick. He was. They had him on the starting line that game, and he was off to a good start. And his face-off dot, he's actually right around a 55%. He's actually second on the team behind Marlowe in face-off percentage. Now they both play wing primarily, but they both have time as centermen. It's known.
Were you going to talk a little bit more about JVR or no?
Really? No.
Okay.
I was gonna just what JVR is doing is handcuffing every Leafs fan and every wannabe Leafs GM because his value is now higher than it's ever been in a Leaf uniform. But the Leafs are the best they've ever been since he's been in a Leaf uniform. Yeah. So what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you try to trade for that defenseman that is desperately needed?
Yeah.
Or do you hold on? Because he's the only guy that does what JVR does in front of that, within 1 foot of the blue ice. Yeah. I'm convinced there's not a better player in the NHL. He can screen, he can tip, he's got hands like Patrick Kane, like a small guy in close with his 6'3" frame. He's amazing in close, and I don't think anyone, especially on the Maple Leafs right now, can fill in his role. He's too important in front of the net.
It's interesting because when he first came, people thought, oh, he's a big frame, big body. He's going to be good on the boards. He's going to push the puck to the front.
Yeah, clearly they didn't see him play in Philly.
Totally very different than what you'd expect from a guy his size and broad shoulders.
Yeah.
Good reach. So, yeah, he's got very soft mitts. So he's good at quickly making quick stick moves right in front of the net.
In tight situations, yeah.
So that's a dilemma, though. And especially now that Bozak's not playing so well this year and he hasn't shown much. So it's very hard now to, what are you going to get if you trade Bozak in a prospect versus what could you get if you trade JVR and Josh Levo package for something.
And it's not even with the JVR situation. It's not even, oh, well, let's just keep him and re-sign him. He's going to want more money.
He's going to want, like we talked about, he's going to want at least six.
I'd say at least six,
Yeah,
and that might be a hometown discount. Like he's going up at least $2 million a year.
Yeah, I think he could get
Because
7 on the free agent.
he is playing. I mean, he's leading the league. He's leading the team in goals. Pardon me.
Yeah.
I know Matthews has been out for 6 games this season, so that's not really a true testament. But still, with or without Matthews, tonight he scored again.
Yeah.
And he was in front of the net and he tipped the puck. It's what he does. He's the best player. He's big, he can screen, and he's got hands.
I still don't like his game
Defensively.
And when people were chirping Kessel, I think JVR's game is worse than Kessel's in his own zone, recouping the puck. And it's because Kessel's better at taking the puck and off players.
I think when Kessel actually gave 2 craps and tried, he was actually half decent defensively because he was so fast and he has such a low center of gravity.
Yeah.
But the problem was getting Kessel to care about the defensive zone, which maybe not. But the thing is, at least JVR has shown that he cares. It's just he really is a step behind the defensive zone. You can clearly see that.
Yeah.
But speaking about Austin Matthews, team's been on a bit of a roll without him. Lost their first game without him on the year tonight. And they're now 5-1 without him.
Yeah.
To give you a clue, 13 goals, 13 assists, 26 points in 26 games. The only player that's on a point per pace, the only player on the Leafs that's on the point per pace mark. Yeah. He's looked stellar this year.
Yeah.
His face-off percentage is right around 55, where you'd want a first-line centerman to be. He's looked great defensively, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What are they gonna keep producing like this without him? Because I don't think they can. I think the last couple of games, I think they won the Oiler game because of Curtis McElhinney.
Oh, yeah.
I think they've been hanging around the last couple of weeks because Freddie Anderson.
Yeah.
You said you think he's your player of the month.
Yes. Well, no, he
was the NHL's player of the month.
Yeah. For goaltenders, he was. Anderson, I'm going to talk a little bit about him. He's second currently in the whole league in wins.
17 wins. 17 wins on the year. They're
overusing him with the ice time first. We were talking about that too.
He's already logged 1,500 minutes.
It's a lot, and
through the team's 32 games, which is kind of
And I wasn't a huge fan of McElhinney, and I said I would change that if he stole the game from me versus Edmonton, and he did. And it was crazy because fantasy hockey-wise, I needed a win to tie, 2 wins to overtake the guy I was against, and Crawford did it for me. And
Curtis McElhinney against a Connor McDavid that's playing in front of his family, his friends in Toronto. I had that game going to 6-5. I was there when the Leafs scored in the first 30 seconds. I was like, hey, I could be right. I took the over. Wow, was I wrong. A 1-0 game. Curtis McElhinney stood on his head. One-timer saves. Scramble saves. Just point-blank, solid shots from scorers. Saves.
Some of them were very lucky. There's a couple that went right through the crease.
You can't get a shutout without luck. There is no chance. There's no game unless it's Carey Price at the Olympics when Canada played Latvia. He's had 8 shots.
Can you count on McElhinney to play a little bit more and be somewhat that for those games down the stretch?
What I think the Leafs need to do, because the only time he plays is on back-to-back.
Yeah.
But the thing is, back-to-backs, you get tough matchups like the Oilers. Maybe the next time you play the Hurricanes, you slide in McElhinney. Maybe the next time you're out west, you're in Arizona, well, slide him in. Just try to get, anytime you can get Freddie Anderson a little bit of breathing room, because the Leafs are a playoff team.
And we saw what happened last year down the stretch at the end, and Anderson...
Man, he's a human. Like, as well as he's playing superhuman numbers, he is a human being. And
we had to count on McElhinney to beat the Penguins for us on whatever the last game of the season was it?
Yeah, he did.
I was in Arizona. Speaking of in Arizona, I was in there, and then I went to the game, the baseball game actually, and I rushed to the bar after just to see the last 2 periods, and I'm like, can you change? Yeah, I'm watching the game, and everybody's like, what game are you watching? The game's pretty exciting. The game was pretty wild. Everybody's, especially in Leafland and maybe even Pittsburgh, we're on our seats watching that game. And other people started grouping around me going, wow, this game. I'm like, yeah, I know. I hope we win this one. So
they got the W.
Yeah.
And that's big time. But what it really comes down to is they're going to need some defensive help. And you got an interesting thing Connor Carrick versus Roman Polak.
Yeah.
So give me these. Peter was looking up some statistics before.
Well, if you just look at the record,
it's disturbing.
The record, from what I can tell, is the Leafs with Carrick in the lineup is 13-3, and now after the loss, Polak in the lineup is 6-7. Especially with the Leafs, I think the current record is 20-11.
That's not like the 5-1 Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
Where the Leafs have been playing solid hockey with Austin Matthews.
And you're only comparing 5-6 games.
Oh yeah,
This
is a big part of this. That's about what 20 games
Yeah.
out of the 32 game schedule so far.
That's of them 11 games, or what is it now? 13 games for Polak and 16 games for Carrick.
So more.
And again, it bothers me because this is what I said at the beginning of this season when they went out and signed Polak. I said, I don't mind Leafs bringing Polak. I don't mind him being the 6th, 7th man. Especially, Borgman's been decent for a rookie defenseman coming
Borgman's been great. I've actually really liked
from
him.
overseas. I've liked this game. It's been all right. But I didn't. This is what I didn't want, and what some people thought that wouldn't happen is Carrick not getting the ice time that he should get over Polak getting it.
I think it comes down to the situations. Carrick is an offensive defenseman. Jake Gardner is an offensive defenseman. Morgan Riley is more offensive than not. Mm-hmm. They got two guys that should be workhorses. I know Gardner's had some ups and downs this season, but they have two guys that should be offensive workhorses. Zaitsev, great in the defensive zone, still solid in the offensive zone.
Yeah.
So it's harder for Carrick to get into the lineup than Borgman, because Borgman's a big defensive shutdown guy. So you just want, honestly, if you're you just want Polak to step up and play better.
Yeah.
You really do. Because right now they're at that awkward point, and I think Carrick has a lot more to give. But it's tough. How do you take off Morgan Riley, or how do you take off Jake Gardner?
Well, and I understand with Babcock's thinking, I think is if that's the third pairing, I want a guy in my mind who I think is
a little more experienced,
seasoned guy that he feels
can clear bodies,
is more safer.
Yeah.
And Carrick is younger and a little more unpredictable, and teaming up with a rookie defenseman that's on the other side. Carrick is not a rookie defenseman, but he's also a guy that hasn't played fully for 3-4 years. And that's why I think Babcock likes Polak there more.
Well, what's astounding to me, and I understand the Corsi stats, but Connor Carrick is a +6. Nikita Zaitsev is a +9. Zaitsev's played phenomenal hockey no matter who you put him with. Ron Hainsey's actually been my surprise Leaf defenseman. I love the way Hainsey plays. Yeah. He's got 2 goals and 14 assists. Jake Gardner, that offensive defenseman that we're keeping Carrick out of the lineup for, 2 goals and 15 assists. Ron Hainsey's been shutting boys down, blocking shots, laying out the body, and is still producing offensively. And he's a +7. And then it's Connor Carrick at +6. Third defensive +-. Now, I understand the Corsi ratings and how +- is more of who you're on the ice with at the time. But still, it does mean something, because you're on the ice with those 5 guys, because obviously it doesn't matter on special teams. Mm-hmm. And you're making those 5 guys, they're clearly better. Yeah. So it's an interesting argument. The Leafs have some work to do on the back end going forward towards the playoffs, because Freddie Anderson, the guy, he's going to need some help.
He will need some help. And we'll talk about this in a couple more weeks and see if Leafs either find a way to shore up the defenseman, maybe Carrick plays more, or maybe do they move JVR?
My favorite time of the week. Time for a little bit of fantasy up and down. Going to give you 3 players to drop and 3 players to pick up. Mm-hmm. All right, ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Keep it nice and simple. We're going to give you a forward, defenseman, and a goalie. First, player to drop forward-wise, Ryan O'Reilly, 4 assists his last 10 games. Yes, he got an assist tonight, but overall, I think his production has gone down this year. The Sabres aren't that good, and he has to look more at a defensive role. He's currently 53% owned, so if you can move him, maybe try to pick up a smaller asset, I would do it. Or just pick up a guy that can score more points in general. Defenseman, Torey Krug, 78% owned. Now, 4 goals and 12 assists, that doesn't sound so bad. But for Torey Krug, that's not really on par through his statistics the last couple of years. The guy's been a power play monster over, his entire career. And this year, he's just not producing those points. And the reason why I'm saying drop him is you could find a pretty solid defenseman that has about 16 points, the same Torey Krug has, that can hit and block shots. Torey Krug doesn't do either of those things. Those are categories that you have, and penalty minutes even. You rely on some big bruising defensemen to get you those hits, to get you those block shots, and to get you pims. Torey Krug does not bring that to the table. So if you got a guy like maybe a Ryan McDonough floating around with that has 15 assists, well, maybe pick him up because he's going to deliver a lot more hits and more blocked shots.
What I usually like to do is I try to get one defenseman that's just a penalty guy. So then,
Pimmers,
because
like
it's
old
hard.
school Wade Belak.
Yeah, well, it's hard to find a lot of defensemen who are going to keep up with your forwards. You're not going to find one, any of them actually. But you get a few that are close enough, and then you get maybe one or two guys that are just going to bruise it up.
Well, at 40% owned, Malcolm Subban doesn't quite make our list, but he still accounts for this one because he's gone down 10% in the last 3 days. Yeah, he was 50% owned, so he makes the cut for the week. The reason why I'm saying drop him, well, Marc-Andre Fleury has been activated at last. The concussion is over. Now, Subban has done excellent in Fleury's absence. He's got 7 wins and a goals against average of .233 and a .924 save percentage. But the thing is, he's in Fleury's crease. Fleury is the face of this franchise in Vegas as of right now. And, well, going forward, you can't really take him out of the pipes. Mm-hmm. Just to put people in the seats, I think it's the best move. And realistically, Fleury will find his game. Yeah. Now, goaltender to add. This is a really, really interesting one because he was injured for most of the year. So he's probably under your radars. And the last couple seasons in Vancouver, well, he didn't play so well. Ryan Miller. Ryan Miller, so far this season, has a save percentage of .945 and a goals against average of 1.73.
All right.
Pretty good. Well, get this. Last 5 games the Ducks have played, he started 2 of them. So he's actually seen some pretty solid ice time. Yes, John Gibson is without a doubt the number 1 goaltender there. But Ryan Miller, he's a solid 1B goaltender anywhere else but the Ducks. So this makes him an automatic best option too. So if you need a goaltender right now, Miller, he's only 24% owned. I'd pick him up because odds are he'll get a start this week. And most likely with the way the Ducks are playing, it'll be a win. Defenseman to pick up, Colin Miller. I like the guy. 20% owned. 4 points in his last 5 games. He got off to a really hot start. So did the rest of the Knights. He kind of cooled down. But it looks like him and both the Knights' power play are starting to pick things up. So he could be just a valuable asset if you're looking for a point-scoring defenseman instead of maybe Torey Krug. Just saying. And then a guy that I'm surprised. Tyler Johnson. Only 34% owned after the injuries. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But after the last couple seasons he's had, how is he only 34% owned now that he's back? Well, let me give you some stats so I don't sound so crazy. 5-game point streak. He's got 8 points in those 5 games. He's playing with Stamkos and Nameskinov. Points are going to keep coming. He's an assist machine, and he'll pot in goals when Stamkos decides to actually pass the puck. So add Tyler Johnson to your team right now. I just added him in 2 of my teams, and guess what? Over the last 3 games that I've had him for, he's got 4 points. So there's your fantasy up and down. I will put up the blog with a full list of guys that you should add, guys that you should drop, but those are the big names, so get out and get on it right now.
Yeah, go to JablemHockey.com, and that blog will be out soon if it's not already out when you're watching this. All right, time for some Saturday's picks. Connor, you can do the honors. How well did you do last week?
It's on fire. The tree is on fire. Burning it down, baby. 10-2. Whoo! Are you kidding me?
I did okay.
Yeah, well, 8-4. Peter and I have really turned around our Saturday's picks. I think it's fair to say that we've gotten into the rhythm of the season. I hope that you've stuck with us this long because if you watched our first couple episodes, I was about 2-10 in the first couple weeks, and Peter took a big lead on me. But I'm clawing back. It's been a good couple weeks, but a matchup. Speaking about clawing back, this will be a good one. The Oilers are in Minnesota. Devin Dubnyk versus his old team. The Oilers' offense is on fire. They're doing a little dance like Peter, scoring 7 goals tonight in CBJ against one of the best goaltenders in the league, Sergei Bobrovsky. The Wild, on the other hand, they've won 5 out of their last 6 games, so I'd expect a solid showing in that one. If the Wild stand a chance, it's going to be Devin Dubnyk because once the Oilers offense gets going the way it was going tonight, they made Sergei Bobrovsky, perennial Vezina nominee, reigning champion. They made him look like Swiss cheese. So I like the Oilers in this one. I'd like a 3-2 game maybe. I think they'll be able to beat Devin Dubnyk. But Oilers versus Wild, I like that matchup. I think that's going to be a fun game to watch.
When you said rhythm of the season, I was thinking the rhythm was going to get me, and it started getting me there. I think it's more spirit of the season.
Spirit. Well,
so that's where the sweater comes in. The Oilers do have a better chance, I think, because is Dubnyk maybe injured, so we'll see.
That was another thing. Stalock came in and finished off the game, started the second period tonight. They were still able to get the win, though, Minnesota. Stalock led in the 1 goal, but they won it in overtime 2-1 against the Calgary Flames.
Oh, yeah. But still, Stalock has pretty good underrated numbers, so we'll see.
Right.
My early game I'm picking, it could be an interesting one, because Canes are playing very well so far this season. They're still, not as good as top contenders, but they're exciting to watch. They're very fast. They're very young. But still, Columbus keeps on getting wins. And I think that's all. Bobrovsky, as you were saying, he's been killing it. But Panarin is back on top, back on his game. He's the only one that's really putting up points.
Well, they call it the PB&J line, and he's the bread man. Yeah?
Well, did you hear about this? And if you haven't checked it out, I don't know if he's finished it yet, but Panarin on Twitter has asked people to go out and create either, I don't know if it's a logo or a brand for him.
A Panera bread.
Something like that. Or whatever you want it. And because he wants to create his own brand and whatever clothing he may be on. So go check out his Twitter account. He wants to get something. But he's got 26 points, 30 games. He's been playing well. Werenski's got 9 goals already. So he's one of the few other guys that are still putting up points for Columbus. But again, it's all Bobrovsky. And I still think in Carolina,
you like
the Jackets, I think, are still going to
yeah, okay, good. I'm going to take the Jackets in that one as well because you said it, Sergei Bobrovsky, and I do not trust Scott Darling or Cam Ward, for that matter. Mm-hmm. But here's a game of goaltenders I do trust right now. Both got off to slow starts on the season. Tuukka Rask, Henrik Lundqvist. Lundqvist has won 3 out of his last 4 starts and looked pretty darn good doing so. Even in that loss against Washington 2 games ago, he still got peppered with 40 shots and he looked pretty good. It wasn't his fault in the loss, if you ask me. And then on the other side, Tuukka Rask. Rask has won his last 4 starts, posting a shutout in those. So you got 2 goalies, started off kind of slow, getting kind of hot. 2 teams that like to bang bodies. Original 6 matchup. Rangers rolling into Beantown, and I think they'd be able to steal out a win. I do.
Is this one of the early games?
This is I believe a 5:00 start.
Okay.
It's an earlier start.
Those weekend earlier games are usually really exciting.
Yeah. Well, this one will be a good clash. A lot of hot blood there. Guys that like to throw the body around, as I said. McDonough's back in the lineup. He loves to hit guys. Brady Shea's been laying bodies. Chris Kreider, great grinder. And then on the other side of the ice, obviously Pasternak's been putting up points. We've talked Torey Krug needs to turn things around. And Tuukka Rask is just on fire. So that'll be a fun game to watch.
And who'd you call for that
I'm
game?
taking the Rangers. I think they're going to go into Beantown and squeak one out. I know Rask is playing well, but if there's a team that can get under your skin, I think it's those Rangers forwards, that depth, that wave.
Cool. And then my other game, which is very interesting because the Islanders are really playing well this year.
This is a good one.
They're in the wild card spot, but it's just because the Metro is that damn good. But it's the Kings coming into the Long Island, so it's going to be an exciting game. The Kings are still killing it. I'm shocked how I don't know how and what to think when I'm looking at the Kings week to week, season to season. You don't know what it is, but this year the leadership on that team has risen again. Kopitar's
doing a great job with the C on his chest.
Quick is killing it in the back end. Doughty, doesn't matter where he goes, he's going to play well, I guess. But the Islanders, their offense is off the charts. I think it's Bailey and Tavares are like right up there at the top of the whole league.
Tavares has 18 goals.
18 goals. Anders Lee has 17 goals. They're 3rd and 4th in goals.
Oh.
Josh Bailey, 33 points. That puts him right up there with Tavares in the top 10-ish, I believe. And Eberle, who Edmonton just threw away because I guess, maybe he wasn't so good in the playoffs. But 12 goals, and right now Stromer's not looking so good with only 4.
No, he's not. And another thing to note, this time last week, the Islanders, they only lost 1 game on home ice in regulation.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to take the Islanders in that one because they're pretty good on home ice. But Jonathan Quick, I mean, he's playing quick again. He's looking fast. He looks like some of that quick chocolate milk in the glass, baby.
Yeah, so I also got the Islanders, but that should be a hell of a matchup. And an interesting one, with the Flyers playing so well, I just want to throw it in. Dallas at Philly. Hey, why not go with Philly right now? I think if the odds are there...
Couturier is playing...
Lights out. We've talked about Couturier the last couple of weeks. He's looked real good. He made Freddie Anderson look foolish a couple times tonight, being able to win the faceoff back to the Giroux, and then obviously going top Ched. So, I mean, it's going to be a good one.
And again, check out our Saturday's picks. They should be on NHL.com by Saturday, and we usually try to tweet them out by midnight-ish Friday night. So please check those out. One last thing I wanted to mention before we wrap up this episode. At Habs Laugh, I believe, on Twitter, he started making some cool lists of making an active all-player team. Yes,
So
of current and former players that are active. I'm not too sure. I think he threw in maybe guys that are currently on the team. I was actually mixing them up with current and guys that are active. So my quick list, and Connor will have one for the Hawks next week. But my quick list, and I had to make so many good lines because I think there's a lot if you do current and previous guys that are still active, is top line. I got to go with the big 3 current, and that's Marner and Matthews, of course, and Nylander. Then a JVR, Bozak, Kessel line that was so good for a few years. And then we're going with the guys that they kind of lost. And that's Camilleri, who was there early in the draft. Another guy they lost in the draft, of course, with the trade of Kessel, Sagan.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
And of course,
Hamilton there too.
And then you trade in the Steen trade with Stepniak. So Camilleri, Sagan, Steen, and I like to throw in my old school Leafs good line with MacArthur, Grabowski, and Kuhlman to finish it up. And then, hey, why not a 5th line of Raquel, Marlowe, and Komarov mixing up. And then on the back end, I got Riley and Hamilton, as we mentioned again from that Sagan-Kessel trade. Gardner, Zaitsev, Gunnarsson, and Phaneuf. Hey, if they were a third pairing, they would be good. And Gunnarsson's still playing well, I think, on St. Louis.
Fair.
It's not
That's
bad.
actually fair. If they were a third pairing, they would have been good.
They would have been good. And then, of course, Haynes, Franzen, if there was an extra one. But goaltender-wise...
It's got to be Freddie Anderson. With the way he's playing.
The way he's playing right now, he's up there. But again, Rask and Gibson. Rask and Gibson as options.
We talked about Tuukka Rask, how well he's playing. Obviously, got off to a slow start and had a tough year not making the playoffs last season and a tough playoff run the prior season. And Khudobin's been lights out, but he's still Tuukka Rask, and John Gibson is... the Ducks are rolling. John Gibson's a big part of that.
Oh, yeah, Gibson's great. But if you just even out the stats over the last few years since Rask has been in Boston... He's consistently decent. Even I know there's Boston
consistently great.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of fans, there are some Bruin fans out there, they're not liking Rask. Oh, he's had a bad game here or there. Every goalie has a bad game.
Remember when Boston fans were trying to get Tom Brady fired a couple years ago? That's all you need to know about Boston fans. And now he's their god again.
All right. Before we go, I want to give a shout out to Max, one of our great bloggers on our website. And you can go right on JablamHockey.com. He has a cool blog that he wrote last week, and his picks and predictions for 2000's Hall.
The Call to the Hall. Good name on that, Max. Like it.
Yeah, so check that out. And then that's it for this episode. Check us out next week. Hopefully we have you have a Team ISO, Connor.
Yep. Sorry about that, guys. Team ISO had a bit technical difficulties, and we missed it due to me, so... apologies there.
That's okay. And then we'll try to do a compare, do a little matchup, me and you.
Yeah, and I'll have my Blackhawks team. Woo-hoo.
Blackhawks. Yeah. And that's it for this episode. Again, remember, go to JablamHockey.com, and again on Twitter at JablamHockey, and ask us any questions if you have any. Connor might make some more blunders. Check that out.
It's been a wild one. Have a good one, guys.